All right, welcome back. So today, I don't know if you guys knew this. You know that the course is called Design Elements and Principles. Today is our last element of the course. It is space, and then we'll be moving on. Cool part is, we have value. What? Why isn't 7 showing? Did I download the wrong one? No. Oh, we didn't do value. Oh, we have one more. Never mind. Well, I'm just jumping ahead. I'm so excited to move ahead. So we have value, and there's good things. I was all excited, but whatever. So, but we will be moving on soon. Once we finish elements, which is next week, then week 8, we're going to learn about layouts in the design. And then just so you know, coming in the future then, when you've been doing those design practices, we're going to switch those out and you're actually going to be creating designs, one using Illustrator, one using InDesign. But you should be familiar enough with those programs by the time we hit that point that you can do a design. So that's the exciting part coming up very shortly, just a couple weeks away. So let's talk about value. So we talked about color. We all know about color. We had a nice long lecture on color. I want to open up this. Make sure it's open. There we go. Close out this. Close out this. Oh, I'm going to grab one more thing before we get started fully. But we talked about color. One thing that sometimes isn't realized with color is the color value in objects. And one thing I want to show you, I'll show you during this, is that you could have a multicolor project and be like, this is great. It looks so good. It's got all these colors, but in the end, it's still really hard to read. It doesn't have any depth or doesn't have any contrast because you could develop a piece with a lot of color, but then no value to it. So that's what we're going to be talking about is value in the design. And I mean, in doing it right here, down here, I can change the way you view something in a design by changing the value of what you see. So this one's darker, which is the one I want you to look at. I changed the value of these so one sticks out more than others. Super simple stuff. You know what I mean? It doesn't take much to change the value and have that become part of the piece. It also helps with reading the piece. What's important? What's not important? How can you affect the way people see something, positive and negative? And that will push us into space next week. So it adds a lot. So value is the lightness or darkness of a color. They kind of say it's measured from black to white, but maybe I don't fully believe that. Values are used to depict the amount of light absorbed that a surface reflects or absorbs. So we start thinking about what is bouncing up. What's the value of it? Is it a deep value, or is you can have a glossy surface and it could be a dark red, but a lot of reflection coming off, so it ends up being a light value. All this stuff can happen. High contrast means the difference between the light and the dark values is extreme. Let's just call it. We have a lot of difference between the light and the dark, which makes things stick out. Black text on a white background. Can't get any more contrasty than that. We go from there to, it's almost Halloween, caution tape, yellow with black. High contrast. Yellow, it grabs our attention more than maybe white does, but it's still the highest contrast that we can get. We need the people to see that. So we put, high contrast. Low contrast, it's more subtle and relaxing. just kind of even tones throughout the piece. It just visually makes us feel different than, high contrast. Why do we deal with it? Depends on our client. Monster energy drink is high contrast. It's got the black can with the bright green glowing Monster M, or we have like Serta mattresses, which is like, I think, light blue and soft and light, Serta, or what is it? Sleep Number beds. So it changes how people think and how we view it. If you took Serta mattress and made it dark green, dark black with green, you'd be like, what? This is for mattress? I don't get it. Like, it doesn't feel the fit. So that's how creating contrast can work, with a client and design and how we think about it. And a lot of this stuff is just natural. Like, we think it comes naturally. Like, it's been ingrained in our brains for many, many years of like, this is through our society. I want to say it right. Like, cultural. Our culture says that, like, high contrast stands out. We need your attention. Low contrast, less so. Value can be used in defining form for three-dimensional objects, overlap, all this kind of stuff, like overlapping of layers, and it can define that and just use it in different ways to build on a piece. And I have those examples on the right, and I'll bring those up. It's also for establishing hierarchy. So it's even like just that last page I showed you where I had value in dark red and all the other ones in light red. That's the hierarchy. That's the one I want you to see. I want you to see the other ones as well, but I want you to know that going across that line, today we're dealing with this one, and then we go back to seeing the other ones. And it's the trickery in graphic design in where I can guide people where I want them to look. And that's, with hierarchy. I want you to see this first, this second, and this third. All right, so I'm going to be, big and bold at the top, then less bold and less bold. You can hide stuff even, back in the day. It's much different now than it was a decade or more ago with working with sweepstakes and or contests. I did a lot of that with my old career. And we knew the rules on how big something could be. So we would hide it. All the rules need to be in there. It only needs to be 6 point and it has to be here. We knew those rules exactly to get it hidden as much as possible because we don't want people to read the rules. That's the boring part. So developing hierarchy is really big with that too. Grayscale and tonal range. Grayscale is a range of values from black to white. Shades of the gray are in between. We know that. And then we've talked about tint, tone, and shade. Just the variations between lightest and darkest. We can get generally speaking with a lot of this stuff. We use it throughout the layout and layout design, the typography, the imagery, all of that. How do they all read? How do they come together in creating like the lights and the darks, and where do we want people to see, or what's important, what's not important? Mood and atmosphere. High key designs with predominantly light values. Low key are predominantly dark values. Convey, high key, very light, sense of brightness, purity, optimism, or you have dark designs like mystery, Halloween, it's right around the corner, drama, serious. Right there. So I'll come back to that. And you just have to be able to create that balance. How does it work with the piece? And I'll talk about that now, like balance and harmony and getting the tonal values correct, even on a full color piece. You have to look at what's going on. I don't know if anybody's really, one person is in my Photoshop class, like when we're developing the poster, making sure that you don't have a tonal value that's sweeping across your poster, that you have darks and lights and bring people from the front to the back. really helps out a lot. We can do a cool little trick here. Give me a moment. So we have color values here, and they all look very, very different. And we think like, oh, this looks great. You know, like, oh, I can see the difference in the colors, but I can grab a section and change them to grayscale. If I remember how now. Edit colors. So this is a direct transition. And we talk about tonal value, we talk about colors, and we can have something designed. But as you can see, these 4 colors, even though they look very different, have almost the exact same tonal value when turned to grayscale. And so you may, and if you do a design like this, you may end up like, what's the key feature in it? Like, what are we looking at? If, you know, where's the highlight? They all kind of blend together. You should look at it sometimes in grayscale and be like, oh, all my tonal values are the same. Here, even though it doesn't look like it, it's dark, then this one seems lighter. This one seems darker than this one. And then this one maybe kind of like this. But when you look at them in grayscale, they actually kind of go down in tonal value. So it's something to keep an eye on. And like, how do your colors, when you're working on a bigger project and it's full color, like how are the colors working together? Is there enough contrast in the tonal values of your colors to make things stick out, or that hierarchy work, or so not everything's so flat? So that's just a cool little experiment you can do, and like take your design and change it grayscale. And if it all looks like that, well, you kind of have a problem going on. There's not a lot of differentiation, even though you're using 2 different colors. So just, pro design stuff. Get that back out. Close that up. Now let's look at our examples. Walk through different types of tonal contrasts or values. Single piece. 2 colors only. It's teal and black. That's it. And if we could zoom in, the different tones of teal are done by what's called half toning dots. And it's just like, this is 100% teal. This is 50%. The clouds in the pool, 75%. And then solid black is used. There might be a little introduction, a little bit, but I think it's mostly done with dots and tonal value. So it's 2 colors. So when they go, like the cool part about this, when you go to print, it's a 2-color print. They're going to print teal and black on a piece of paper, and all of it's there. So they have the black for the important stuff, right? Black sticks out even no matter what it is. And then we have a fun play, like with the clouds and all this kind of stuff. But all this tonal value, all this change, all these different things happen, and it's really only 1 color. If we want to get like really technical and be like, black is the absence of color. It's 1 color, but it's black and it's teal. It's 2 color, but they created all this interest by simply changing the value of the teal. And for the most part, the black is black. I love this kind of stuff here. This overlapping on the center screen. Looks so cool. It's so easy to do these days. Sorry, yeah, there we go. It's one or the other. It's so easy to do these days. We got the computer, and we can just start overlapping, the parts and the pieces for this exhibit, and pick, and it creates all these tonal values, and it actually creates quite a bit of depth as well. So it's just not, instead of it feeling like really flat in one layer, like you kind of go all the way back down into this dark blue. It starts very light at the top. This 3, is the number one thing we're looking at. And the dark blue is the background. And just by overlapping letters and numbers and changing them and making them transparent, we have a full range of values, and we created a ton of depth as well. Very, easy to do. And nowadays, like back in the probably, it was much harder to do this back in the day. Here's just a gentle, I'll call it gentle, but they use a couple different things going on. They have a photograph in the background of those pyramids. And so we have a grayscale going on, a very light grayscale to create some sort of weird texture in the background. Sometimes designs are just designs, and it's like a little art piece, and that's what this is. Like, we have a background, and then we're gonna part of it is because we're gonna show the eye being dissected, and this has a ton of tonal value, but all the tonal value is done by what's called cross-hatching. The drawing itself is pure black, pure white, and no grayscale, but it's just done by, purposeful lines. And so you have that contrast there of this having the smooth photograph with this old school drawing of an eye, which is black and white. Because back in the day, that's the only way you could print. It was black or white. There was no like grayscaling. Grayscaling is done by halftoning, it's called. It's still done to this day, but more and more with electronic printing, it's continuous tone is called. But a lot of effects you can get going on. They have transparent. The red is transparent, so it's see-through, and you can see the tonal differences on where it overlays. Just a lot of kind of cool, fun stuff. And then they started playing down here with, this overlap of where it's overlapping this section of the pyramids. So again, just a lot of weird tonal value in this one. And this one, it's an overlay. Somebody made like this explosion of color, and that's the background piece. And then they overlaid a shape. This is the shape. It's the white circle that comes into these forms. And they put that on top of like this explosion of color. And it makes this really crazy 3D, like I want to grab that effect. Grab it. It's like, but again, it's all just flat lines, tonal value changes to develop that look. And I think it's super cool. And the way that they can do this, or any designer can do that, just by thinking about what am I layering? What is the shape of the line that I'm using to create this effect? And it's super effective to get this, like, it's not a torus. I don't know the exact shape that's called. I should look that up sometime. But all it is, it's white. They took one image, color splashes, and put the white layer on top with the cutouts, and that's what you get. Pretty effective. And we talk about tonal value, of course. Batman. It's all it is. It's a black and white image. And they do, like, it's so well done where we have like kind of like the entrance of the cave is the brightest part. The second brightest part is his head. The like third brightest part is the title. And in good design, it's sometimes said you work in threes. Bright, bright, bright. And it takes us through the piece. And the rest of it, just tonally mood. Like, it's just a play of like gray on black on bright. Like it's just a great optical illusion sort of developed with tonal values for a poster. Really, I love that. Like great stuff that can be done with just like subtlety. Being subtle. If you're in my Photoshop course, I talk about subtle. Make it subtle. Make it blend in. You can really powerful stuff can happen if you just do subtle work. So that's value. value, element number 6. We know the research. You know how to do the research. Dig around. Find me that book cover, movie poster, album cover, beautiful layouts. We're doing great, making sure things are centered and not overlapping, and we're constraining. We're not, stretching any images. You all are doing wonderful with that. Better than some of my third semester students on keeping all that looking good. Let's talk about the project. 3 monochromatic compositions using value to define the design. Let's go through that. I want a little picture. Can be simple and easy. There we go. But I want it monochromatic. And I'll teach you again how to do the monochromatic. This is 3 tones of the same color. That's it. I have a dark blue, I have a light blue, and a medium blue. And they're all the same color. It's based off of this dark blue. Then I made the lighter blue, which is the same as the moon, and the background. Just that's what I want. 3 different value composition. I want, like if you do blue, then green, red, yellow, orange, whatever. Each one should be different. And it can be simple, just like this. But I want you to experiment, like, how do I get this idea? Like, this is some shapes in different values, but my mind takes it as mountains with a snowy top, a kind of like twilight sky, and a bright moon. But it's like all fakery, like it's just shapes. But I can create the illusion that something bigger is happening, and it's only 3 different values of one color. Let's show you the color thing again. So if I go to properties, let's pull this over. And it's always just easier to draw. Like there, I got a square. I go to fill, and I'm going to go to the color mixer because I want my own color, and I want it to be really dark purple. That's exactly what I want. So I'm going to go to, I'm back in my color mixer. Now I'm going to click on swatches. I'm going to click on the plus. I'm going to go from color type, from process to spot. You can actually rename this if you wanted to too. You could call it like Purpleville. And then when I go over it, if I didn't have that giant hand in the way, it calls it Purpleville. And then so I can go to here, Purpleville, and then when I go to the color mixer, I get my shades, tints of that color. And that's how I want you to do it. Start with a color, draw up a little cute composition, change the pieces to different tones of the exact same color. Let's do this. Oh. So whatever you want to do, practice, play with shapes. And again, in the beginning, you don't have to jump in. Don't just go right to Illustrator. Draw, that's all I did. I don't know what to do. All right. We got ground. I don't know why I'm on the theme. My son's talking about it. All right, there we go. All right, then I think about it. Like, I could do this all in orange, you know, the dark orange. The eyes in the it could be even lighter. This is middle ground. This is dark. The background and light and like mid ground. That's all you do, you know. And then you got an idea. Then take that into Illustrator and then draw it up in shapes with Illustrator. So, yeah. Any questions, comments, or concerns about value? All right, cool. You know how to get a hold of me if you do have questions, comments, or concerns. And let's see some nice little compositions based on value of a single color. Cool. All right. I will talk to you on Thursday with some more tricks and tips. All right. Take care.